Hello and welcome to Channels Book Club. My name is Olakunle Kasumu, and it's always great to be on this show where we discuss all things books. Well, the big one, the Nigeria Prize for Literature, the biggest literary prize in Africa. Finally, the winner for 2024 was announced. Well, before we let you know who the winner is, you probably know who the winner is by now. But the Nigeria LNG for the past 20 years has supported this prize, and this is very commendable. As journalists, when we say things are not good, it's our duty to say it, and when we say things that are good, it's our duty to say it. In a community or a society where literature and education and intellectualism are not as valued as they ought to be, and sadly so, it's great to see corporate organization or a corporate organization like the Nigeria LNG supporting a literary prize for 20 years. Wow. Excellent. And the prize is a big one, $100,000. I've been at meetings where this $100,000 has been discussed, and some have thought, oh, why don't you put the $100,000 elsewhere, do something else, and so on. And I've always argued that it's great to have a literary prize that is $100,000 because it's not really the money. It's the fact that it is symbolic. It says to everybody, literature, books, reading, writing, intellectualism are important. It's a symbol, and symbols can be very, very powerful. So when young people know that you can write and be rewarded for your writing, then you are encouraging them in that space. And literature, over the millennia, literature has been very pivotal in developing some of the greatest societies in the world. So kudos, Nigeria LNG, and it's great that the Nigeria Prize for Literature entered its 20th year this year. Well, Olubunmi Fameloni is the winner for the 2024 Nigeria Prize for Literature, and he takes home the $100,000. Well, when the announcement was made, as always, every year, it's always at this grand award night that is, again, befitting of the prize. We were there. Enjoy this.
This call for entries will close on the 2nd of April 2024.
In February, a call for entries for the 2024 Nigeria Prize for Literature and the Nigeria Prize for Literary Criticism was made by the organizer, Nigeria LNG Limited. 163 entries were received for the Nigeria Prize for Literature, while 24 entries were received for the Nigeria Prize for Literary Criticism, all competing for the prestigious cash prize of $100,000 and $10,000 respectively. The Nigeria Prize for Science, with a cash prize of $100,000, is a third of the prizes. The Nigeria Prize for Literature, which rotates among 4 literary genres, prose, fiction, poetry, drama, and children's literature, focuses on children's literature this year. Coincidentally, this year marks Nigeria LNG Limited's 35th anniversary as a corporate entity, its 25th year of operation, and the 20th year of Nigeria Prize for Literature and Nigeria Prize for Science. In his welcome address, the Managing Director of Nigeria LNG Limited, Dr. Philip Nshelbia, speaks around the theme of the Grand Award Night, Future.
We expect the world's population to grow to 9 billion in a quarter of a century, with Africa becoming the second most populous region in the world. A United Nations report affirms that by that period, 70% of the world's population would be in urban areas. Globally, population growth and the resultant urban migration and industrialization would be the real driver of energy consumption, while seeking cleaner alternative energy sources. Investments in more and affordable energy must be made now to manage the transition in a balanced manner.
The keynote speaker of the occasion, Dr. Chikwe Ihekweazu, an Assistant Director General at the World Health Organization, who was the first Director General of Nigeria Center for Disease Control, speaks on how Nigeria can prepare for the future.
As we look into the future, we need expertise and we need courage in equal measure. I leave it to this esteemed audience to be part of making it happen. We can transform the despondent refrain of Naija go better into the true conviction that Nigeria definitely no go carry last. And we have to mean that when we say it. As we thrive for this change, let us remember the words of Nelson Mandela, that what counts in life is not the mere fact that we have lived. It is what difference we have made to the lives of others that will determine the significance of the life we had. We owe it to ourselves to build for future generations. As we look ahead, let us draw inspiration from Nigeria LNG's achievements. Let us strive to create an environment where every Nigerian can excel, where every business can strive, where our nation will prosper again. Let us unlock the future we deserve, a future where LNG's success is not an exception, but the norm.
Earlier in September, the trio of Eni Oko, Olajide Otitoju, and Mei Hong Wang were announced as the winners of the Nigeria Prize for Science 2024 for their pioneering work in carbon capture and field production. The trio stepped to the stage to receive their plaque.
Nigeria Prize for Science Award.
Ahead of the major announcement of the night, the advisory board of the Nigeria Prize for Literature, led by its chairperson, Professor Akachi Adimora Ezigbo, announces that there is no winner for this year's Nigeria Prize for Literary Criticism.
Insignificant and irrelevant entries for literary criticism were received, and there is consequently no deserving winner for the 2024 the Nigeria Prize for Literary Criticism.
She further reads the judges' submissions on the shortlisted authors for the 2024 Nigeria Prize for Literature and subsequently announces the winner of the category.
After a rigorous adjudication of the 163 entries received for the 2024 the Nigeria Prize for Literature, the panel of judges and the advisory board have, in consideration of its profundity of technique and subject matter, its thematic depth, social relevance, and lyrical configuration, found the winner of the Nigeria Prize for Literature 2024 is Olubunmi Familoni.
I'll take it in, but don't look down. 'Cause I'm on top of the world, I'm on top of the world, Waiting like this for a while now. Paying my dues to the dirt. I've been waiting to smile, been holding it for a while, Congratulations, sir.
We look at a prize for children's literature. I'm going to mention those two prizes and also a prize for drama. I said it last year as well because I was on the long list for drama. We look at the entire country, look at the despondency, we look at everything that's happening. How many literary prizes are there for these two genres of writing, which are also very important? There are a number of prizes for poetry, there are a number of prizes for fiction, as well, whether it's short fiction, whether it's for, novels. But for children's literature, which is also very important literature, and also for drama. So I'm grateful to NLNG, not even just for winning this prize, but for instituting these prizes for these genres of writing. They are very important. They encourage a lot of writers. Writers see not just people that have won, they see people that get shortlisted, they see people that get longlisted, and trust me, it encourages them to keep writing.
Another major highlight of the night is the unveiling of Nigeria LNG Limited's new logo. As Africa's most prestigious literary award, the Nigeria Prize for Literature continues to inspire Nigerian writers and promote a literary culture.
I'm certainly going to start writing my own novel. That $100,000 must come to this side. I'm sure you're trying to do the same. $100,000 is a lot of money. Congrats once again to Olubumi and also the other shortlisted writers who unfortunately did not win. But I'm pretty sure very soon they've got so much talent they will win their big prizes soonest. Up next is a short, very short documentary on an educator who has impacted her country, her society incredibly. Well, I have huge respect for educators because they invest so much into imparting knowledge, into teaching, into changing lives. As far as I'm concerned, they are the true heroes of our country. And here's one of them. Enjoy this.
86-year-old Madam Maureen Bakare, a retired but not tired teacher and educator, shares a life story in her autobiography titled On the Service Lane, which she authored at 85.
I came to this world through Kaduna State, the railway quarters, because my father worked there, and I started school there. When he was transferred to Jeba South in Kwara State, I went with them to another primary school. Then later on to Ibadan, where I completed primary education, secondary, and the university. And from there, I grew up into the world of work. I started teaching, and after I've taught for some time and gained experience, I was employed by Lagos State Government as an education officer. And from there, I rose through the ranks to become a permanent secretary in the state.
Madam Bakare, who rose through the ranks to become the first director of education in Lagos State, shares how she achieved this.
It wasn't quite pleasant, actually. When I started very well, we were invited then to come and work in the state when it was created in 1967. We had gained experience in the Western region, and myself and some other officers, we were brought from the West to come and work in Lagos. And we all started as one, as Nigerians and so on. And it was while we were in the nitty-gritty of the work, and we have worked for a long time, that I saw that there is a sort of discrimination, especially in promotion. I found that people were talking about non-indigenous. That idea started then, because some people worked for some time and they were promoted, and some of us worked for a long time, no promotion. Even when we complained by writing a petition, nothing done. So it was not pleasant. And those of us employed in the Ministry of Education seem not to enjoy the work, because it is tasking, and they felt there is no provision for a good future there.
educator, wife, and mother is tedious. Madam Bakare explains how she managed these while in service.
While I was working, some of my colleagues were, even though at that time there was a law that there should be no private practice, but some of my colleagues felt that they were not earning, they had shops, they had this and that, but I was focused. I knew that I had to look after the home as well as my work, and so I did not allow any other thing to distract me from doing that well. So I also thank God that I had a husband who also had interest in my work, who saw me as a teacher influencing the lives of our children. So I made sure that I paid attention to the children, I paid attention to my husband. He was like my firstborn.
Despite her passion, her service in the ministry was brought to an abrupt end in 1992.
I was on leave, and suddenly my husband called me one morning and said, come and hear the news. Come and hear the news. I think you're retired. I said, what was he saying? He said, I should hear. And I heard that all of us, permanent secretaries, were retired, including the secretary to the state government, that we were retired, whether we liked it or not.
After this compulsory retirement, she began to dedicate herself to the service of humanity. The octogenarian author, while explaining that her autobiography took her about 3 years to write, explains the inspiration behind the book.
What I experienced at work during the time I was serving Lagos State came up as episodes when talking to my children and friends. I would just tell them a particular history, like the one I've just said about selling in Mushi. And I was telling them a story one day when Governor Golahon Mudashiru, who was the one, it was his executive that appointed me as the first director of education. Then somebody said, you have not gone to say thank you to the governor. If you know all they did for you, this and that. And I said, I work through the permanent secretary. I don't go straight to the governor. I've never gone to the governor for anything. And no, that you ought to have written a letter to him and thank him. I said, I will go. I took the letter one morning and booked an appointment. And I saw him. And just as I started to say, I've come to say thank you, sir. He said, no, Mrs. Bakare, don't thank me. You were appointed on merit. So, it is not something I did that you did not deserve.
She goes down memory lane on how the use of the library during her college days shaped her passion for education.
After reading this book, I found that every chapter is very, very important, and you cannot say one is more important than the other. That is my own feeling. I cannot talk about all of them at a time. But the one that I found profound and that has been in my mind all along and has touched my life is that one, I think chapter 3 or so, on education, how the library, how hygiene and things like that came to be taught in those days as part of our life, and it became part of our lives. And the most important one there is the library. You see, I went to St. Teresa's College, Ibadan, and I cannot forget the fact that that school made me. The school concentrated on our passing English language and passing it well. You know, in those days, if you fail English, you fail all the exams. It is only having a library in schools, encouraging the children to read, and making sure that they understand what they are reading that can improve everything.
The autobiography On the Service Lane is a 329-page book that highlights the merits of talent, competence, character, and courage.
I am Juliet Ifoma Obijiaku, the lead trainer at eBasics Diction, Public Speaking and Poise Academy. I help people achieve excellence in their spoken English and, of course, written English. Today, let's delve into these books. I am the author of Polish Your Diction book and English Essentials. I'll be reading through some of the excerpts in these books to educate you on the essence of reading Polish Your Diction and English Essentials. Let's talk about how important good pronunciation is. A common mistake made by many studying English as a second language is not paying adequate attention to English pronunciation. Pronunciation is vital for proper communication. So you can imagine you're saying something and the person listening to you gets a different message. Take, for instance, someone who has the F and V factor keeps saying, in view of, and the listeners got the message of in view of, and the speaker meant in view of. Let's take other examples, the words cucumber. A lot of people would say cucumber, and the actual pronunciation is cucumber. How about this word, the word transparent? People out there, most Nigerian speakers would say transparent, and there's no such word as transparent. It is transparent. There are a treasure trove of words we mispronounce on a daily, except we don't open our mouths to speak. But the moment we speak, we reel off errors from our mouths. And it's the amount of confidence we put in when we mispronounce these words. Let me take us quickly on a few words. Words like epitome. Some speakers would say epitome. Look at that beautiful woman. She's an epitome of beauty. Instead of saying she's the epitome of beauty. There's no such expression as I am catwalking. You murder English, you bury English when you say I am catwalking. You should say I am sashaying. Do you know that catwalk is that long, narrow stage that models walk along in a fashion show? So when you say you are catwalking, it sounds like you carried the podium on your head and you're walking with it. So if you really want to polish your diction, you want to sharpen your pronunciation, you want to upscale the way people will perceive you, particularly when it comes to your grammatical construction, you need these two books. And after reading them, you will thank me later. Do enjoy yourselves as you read. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed that. Somebody sent me a copy of this book a few days ago. A dear friend and brother of mine, Divided: Why We Are Living in an Age of Walls. Wow. The title and the writer are just so fascinating. All over the world, there are walls, walls, walls. Within our country, Nigeria, there are walls, walls of tribalism, walls, walls all over, walls that stop us from being united, from sharing a vision, from going for it as one single group. Well, we've got to take down those walls very quickly so that we can develop fast. I'm looking forward to reading this. I've read 1 or 2 pages, but there's one I'm reading now. I think I showed you the book I'm reading at the moment, The Scramble for Africa. I'm going to be telling you more about that book very soon. But I will be reading this as soon as I have some time on my hands. But if you are keen, get yourself a copy of Divided: Why We Are Living in an Age of Walls. Perhaps our political leaders might want to explore this because it comes with so much high reputation. This is where we have to end the show today. As always, we'll be delighted to get your feedback through any of our social media platforms displayed on your screen. My name is Olakunle Kasumu. Remember, one great book can change your life. Bye-bye.